Hey everybody, Bill DeVoe here. Welcome to Artemis Agile Consulting's Introduction to Agile. If you are watching this video, it's because you've probably heard the term Agile and you're wondering to yourself, I wonder what this Agile thing could be. So we're going to spend a few minutes talking about what is Agile, where did it come from, and then give you some pointers on how you can get started with Agile in your own organizations. So Agile is a framework of frameworks, and that sounds pretty meta. But really it's sort of like a skeleton that we build our methodologies upon. And those methodologies are lightweight project and program management techniques, that just enough, so not too little, not too much, really that Goldilocks zone. And it really helps us focus our teams on trying to maximize the value that we're going to deliver to our customers in the shortest period of time. We often use Agile as an umbrella term to talk about any methodology that is Agile. So those could be team-based ones like Scrum or XP, which is extreme programming, or DevOps or Scrumban, or they could even be scaled Agile frameworks like SAFe or LESS or DAD. So the best time to be looking at using Agile are in those projects where requirements are going to change frequently or where we don't really understand them. If we really understand what we're building and we all agree to it and we all have a pretty good idea of how we're going to build it, then traditional models work pretty well. But if there's any kind of fuzziness in there, we really can benefit from using Agile as the basis for our development methodology. And of course, if we're looking at low agreement and low certainty, then be on the lookout for Cerberus at that point because there's really no hope for your project. Okay, it's time for a quick history lesson. So, at about the same time that this guy was tromping around on the moon, this diagram was being documented and published. And yes, this is the standard waterfall diagram, requirements analysis, design, coding, testing, and operate. This was what, in 1970, Dr. Winston Royce documented as a flow for software development. He was trying to find ways to reduce the cost of fixing defects and improve the overall product quality of the products that his teams worked on. What he found was that as time went on, the cost of defects rose. So the later a project was in its life cycle, the more money it cost to fix the problem. So his thinking was, well, we can find those problems earlier in the process, we can save ourselves some money, which was great. He also, however, recognized that you can't simply do that in a vacuum. You can't simply go from state to state and expect that you're going to be able to find everything in any given state. So he really went through and documented additions to that flow that showed a lot of feedback loops. From every state to every other state. And so he really documented an iterative process. Sadly, no one really followed that process. They instead saw that first diagram and went, oh yes, I understand that, and they implemented that instead of actually doing what Royce recommended. So modern software planning really got spawned off of that waterfall model. And the focus shifted to trying to learn as much as we could upfront about the product that we were building before we ever started coding. The problem was that people are notoriously bad about estimates. And so project managers ended up having to create all of these rules to improve the accuracy and the precision of the estimates to give us some possibility of being able to complete things on time. The challenge is that with software projects running 12 or more months, we ended up in a situation where the competitive landscape changed or the customer needs changed or whatever, and suddenly we had to add more features to meet the new demands of the customer or the market, and we call this scope creep. So as a result, a lot of projects failed to meet scope, cost, schedule, or some combination of all of those things. So there were a bunch of different developers in different places independently trying to think of a better way to do this. So in 2001, they all got together in Snowbird, Utah, and they had a really good powwow, and they came out of that with what they called the Agile Manifesto, where they codified their thoughts about this better way of doing things iteratively, doing things focused on the customer. So they created a manifesto, and that manifesto consists of 4 values and 12 principles. Now, one thing that's really important to understand is that any framework or methodology can be agile. provided it adheres to the values and principles. So even if it's not one of the ones that I've mentioned before or one that you've heard of, any methodology or framework can be Agile provided that it meets that requirement. In the Agile Manifesto, the values are stated as a this over that. So we value individuals and interactions over processes and tools. We value working software over comprehensive documentation. We value customer collaboration over contract negotiation, and we value responding to change over following a plan. Now, it needs to be really clear that the items on the right do have value. They don't simply go away in an Agile methodology. They do have value. But if we were to say, do I care about working software over comprehensive documentation? My answers would be, we value working software. That's the real true measure of progress. Comprehensive documentation is nice, but if I comprehensively document a product that doesn't exist that way, then the documentation doesn't have much value. So really what matters is the working software that we're developing. So again, we value the items on the left more than the right, but there is value in the items on the right. There are also 12 Agile principles that are part of the manifesto. Now, I'm not going to read these. I will leave this for you. Please feel free to pause the presentation and read the slide as you want. But these are a lot of the individuals how we do things, and really a little more fine-grained what we care about, and how you can implement this within your organization easier than just simply saying, well, we value working software. This provides a little more context for that. So there are several well-known and popular frameworks for Agile. Scrum is probably the most popular and best known of them all. Extreme programming, there's several books about it. It's a very popular one as well. Scrumban has some very good uses for some teams. Definitely if your teams are focused on that kind of work, then take a look at Scrumban. And then if you're looking at scaling Agile beyond the team, SAFe, LESS, and DAD, Scaled Agile Framework, Large Scale Scrum, and Disciplined Agile Delivery are definitely things that you can take a look at for how to transform your organization or enterprise to being more agile than just your teams. So if you're looking for places to start, Scrum obviously is the best known, so I would recommend taking a look at scrum.org. It has the Scrum Guide, which is the sort of basic how-to document on how to Scrum, and it is definitely a place to go to get a lot of those basic resources. ScrumAlliance.org is another organization that has been good at promoting Scrum in the community. And they're probably the most widely recognized certification program. They have the Certified Scrum Master, or CSM, and Certified Scrum Product Owner, or CSPO. Those are probably the most recognized ones, at least in the US. If you have any desire to learn more about getting a good foundation in Scrum, hit up scrumalliance.org and they can connect you with some training to let you do that. And then obviously there's my website, artemisagile.com. I post up a bunch of different articles about Agile, Scrum, SAFe, Scrumban, etc. So definitely check that out and get some more resources there. And then also the YouTube channel is going to have a lot of different videos coming up, so please check back frequently and you'll get more information about each of these individual topics. So thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate you spending some time with me learning about Agile, where it came from. Hope that you learned something and got some good context and clarity around the term. My question for you is, what would you like to see next? Is there some question that's burning a hole in your brain or something that you need some clarity on? Comment below and I will see about getting a video posted to answer your particular need. If you can like the video, I would really appreciate that. That makes me happy. And then also, if you subscribe to the channel, then you'll get notified when new videos are posted. Our current plan is to post something up every Tuesday, so please check back frequently. In the meantime, I hope you have an awesome day. Thank you.